Well. Yesterday was a very, very interesting day. We got a lot of information. I was never bored. Although I will confess that I did doze off a bit when Kevin Stevenson was speaking, but that might be due to advancing age. You know how it go. Anyway, I played it again and I did doze off. So I have to make sure that I'm wide awake when I listen to him, that part that he was doing. So it was most interesting. This is the Integrity Oversight Committee of the Parliament, and it was a good one. It seemed as if the commissioners enjoyed themselves, especially Panton. He came there with a plan. I'm telling you. He decided to steal the show with an opening remark or two, notwithstanding notwithstanding the nature of the matter before them. He decided that he was going to steal the show away from the politicians. So he came with his prepared text and threw out a little one-liner. What did he say? They take no orders from anybody but the court. Now, that, of course, came from out of the blue and from nowhere at all and was irrelevant, because I'm sure when he got the invitation to come to Parliament, nothing in the invitation would have told him or suggested that they were bringing him there or the commission there to give them any orders. So, but he succeeded anyway in stealing the show. Anyway, let me give you my customer welcome. Welcome to Jamaica 411. So nice to have you as usual. If you're here with me for the first time, welcome. Please share, like the video, as well as subscribe and leave your comments. You're most welcome to do so in the comment section. For my subscribers, as well as my regular viewers, welcome back. I do enjoy your company. I know you come to keep me company, You don't want me to be all alone by myself talking off my head. And so I appreciate it. I appreciate it also when you give the video a thumbs up, especially when you do it from the beginning, because, we don't want the distraction when we get into business. And also, please remember to share, because that is important. And then you rejoin me. As for the comments, you're most welcome to leave your comments. I'm putting out so many videos, I can't respond to all of them, but you must forgive me. All right? Great. So, that out of the way, as usual, we're getting down to business. So now, as you see, the headline reads, "Confusion reigns at the Integrity Commission." Now, why do I say so? Because right throughout the proceedings, there were questions of the commission by the members, and basically they wanted to know how the commission is interpreting the act. But more than that, the Labour Party members were keen on getting certain information out, and we all know it's pertaining to the recent report on Andrew Holness. And we got some very useful information in that regard as well. But in terms of the act, you will hear shortly where Christie, is him face vex up, yes man. He and Pernell Charles Jr. got into a bit, not much, but it was quite funny. And of course, Justice Panton seemed to want to sign up for some comedian showman. Anyway, so I'm going to let you listen to a bit of the interplay, more of the interplay, particularly the part about the laws and what it was that Greg Christie was saying about the act. Now, before I let you listen, I want to say that the question that was asked by Pernell Charles Jr. about Section 53(3), that was about whether or not the members of Parliament can disclose to all of us whether or not they are under investigations, and there was a bit of a dispute. I'll have to tell you that because it came at different places. First of all, the question was asked of Kevon Stevenson first, and then Greg Christie. And he read a section of the act by way of response without further comment. He didn't want to comment and say whether MP or anybody else. But for now, I'm going to let you listen to the interplay, and then I'll return and read the section for you myself. So let's listen.
That appears to restrict public commentary on matters before they're tabled in the Parliament. Such a notice provided to anyone. If Julian Robinson, as a member of the Parliament, were to receive such a notice, as explained a while ago, regarding illicit enrichment, you, Director, would still expect that it would be treated within Section 53, subsection 3 of the Act, and that would not be then part of what would be public knowledge until it is tabled in Parliament.
Yes, indeed. The notice, having received the notice, the declarant is, or anybody else who comes into contact with the notice, should not breach Section 53 by announcing that there is an investigation.
And as to, does it prohibit just members of the Commission, employees of the Commission, or does it extend to other persons? The Commission actually issued a statement with respect to Section 53.3 the other day, when there were some reports from at least one media house about our investigation reports, which had not yet been tabled in Parliament. One report. And the point that the Commission made was this. It says, this is what it highlighted. I read the entire section and tell you what we were highlighting. Onto the table in the Parliament of a report under Section 36, all matters on investigation by the Director of Investigation or any other person involved in such investigation shall be kept confidential, and no report or public statement shall be made by the Commission or any other person in relation to the initiation or conduct of investigation in this act. So it's or any other person.
Including members of Parliament.
Well, what was Parliament's intention? Parliament wrote the law. Or any other person.
And I would like clarity on this particular matter.
This is the 23 report?
23-24 report, and I'm going to quote the last sentence written by the chairman. And from my interpretation, there appears to be a bit of a contradiction. And I quote, "Of course, there is nothing to prevent declarants or persons under investigation from speaking on the situation as it relates to them." So I am seeking clarity. If an declarant is under investigation before the report has been tabled in the Parliament, is it against the law for the declarant to acknowledge that he or she is the subject of an investigation?
In my opinion, a declarant can always speak about his or her situation at any time. That is my view of the law.
But it sounds inconsistent with what Mr. Christie said.
The section says nobody is to speak about the thing. But I can't see why I am involved in a situation and I cannot speak about it. That is my interpretation of the law. It doesn't follow. Although I think I'm right, it doesn't follow that I'm right.
Mr. Chairman, is your interpretation of the law consistent with the Integrity Commission's interpretation of the law on this particular matter?
What's the question?
If the chairman's interpretation of the law, as written here on page 2 of his opening remarks, if it is consistent with the Integrity Commission's interpretation of the law on this particular matter. It's a very important matter because there have been public comments made that no individual can speak on a matter until it's tabled, even if you are the subject of an investigation. But the chairman...
No, I don't share that view.
Right. But is that
I share the view that the Commission and other people should not be speaking about matters as forbidden by the legislation. However, in my view, and as I say, it's my view, that a declarant can speak about himself. I don't see anything to prevent that. That is my view.
When we look at the rules of interpretation, legislative interpretation, one rule that you look for, well, there's a literal rule, and I think that's what we're talking about. It says any other person. And the member is right, we're all persons. But there's also another rule. What was the mischief that the provision was intended to cure or to deal with? Was the mischief that was intended to deal with is members of the commission speaking about the matter while it's on investigation, or as the chairman says, was it intended also to extend as far as to the person who is the subject of the matter? Is he too prohibited from speaking? It stands that the chairman is correct in his assessment in terms of what makes sense. What was the purpose of the provision? The member across the floor, he is hanging his hat on any other person. And that's what I read out. And I read it out in the sense that this is what the law states. Now, what do you, the lawmaker, mean by that? And yes, sir, there are members of the public who are listening, and they are confused. And I think right here, it is for us to get rid of that confusion.
Well, my peeps, after that interplay, would you say you're less confused or more confused? I have to tell you, I was quite confused. And I don't know how the commission is operating, where the chairman has one view about the law and the investigator has another view. But since views are up for grabs, let us take a look for ourselves and see if we can make head or tail of the law for ourselves, since they can't help us. So you're looking here now at subsection 3 of section 53. You're going to have to take my word for it, please. But this is it. And what it says here, now section 36 that you see in it, mentioned in it, that's a section to do with the reports of the commission. So let me read it for you. And by the way, this is section 53.3 of the Integrity Commission Act. Until the tabling in Parliament of a report, under section 36, which is the section that deals with reports of the Commission, all matters, and by matters they mean whatever kind of investigation, whether it's for illicit enrichment, or making a false statement, or not submitting their statutory declaration on time, not responding on time to questions, not turning up for meeting, any matter at all that is being investigated is referred to as a matter. Okay, great. So let me continue. All matters under investigation by the Director of Investigation or any other person involved in such investigation shall be kept confidential. So, what are they talking about when they say any other person involved in such investigation? It means that whenever an investigation is initiated, like us say for argument's sake, in illicit enrichment, the investigator is carrying out his investigation and he is going to be using or utilizing the services of his own staff. So the staff at the commission who are involved in the investigation, they can't say anything about it at all, right? Until after it is tabled in Parliament. Following me? Great. What about when the director sends out requests for witness statements from institutions, banks, and the Commission of Lands, Titles Office, Tax Office, to the forensic investigator they are also involved in the investigation. So they now become a part of the investigation by virtue of the director of investigation making request of them. So that is part of the investigation, and so they are involved in the investigation. You getting me? And so those persons cannot take up the phone and call, for argument's sake, Andrew Holness or any member of parliament to say, so let me just get one request from the Integrity Commission, want to know how much bank account you have here. They're not supposed to do that. It's unlawful. So they are not supposed, any other person that is involved in investigation, including the director of investigation himself, they have to keep the matter, that matter that they are investigating, confidential, right? It goes on to say, and no report, which is the commission's report, or public statement, them coming out to tell you the progress of the case or anything about the case or that they are investigating, shall be made by the commission. So the commission now would be the commissioners, the director of investigation, and the staff members. Anybody that is employed to the Integrity Commission, they would be the commission. So they are not supposed to put out any report or any statement, make any public statement before the report is tabled in Parliament. You're getting that? Great. But then it went on to say something else. No report or public statement shall be made by any other person in relation now to the initiation or conduct of an investigation under the Act. So, who are these any other persons? That was what the dispute was about in the Parliament. The Commission was not agreeing at first. You have the Director of Investigation and Christie saying one thing, that it is nobody not supposed to open them out and talk, including those who are involved. And then you have the chairman, the eminent attorney, Panton, Justice Panton, saying, yeah, man, it's about confidentiality. The section is about confidentiality. It's the confidentiality of the person that is being investigated. So if they want to go out and tell anybody that they're being investigated, that's their business, because it's their own confidentiality that the section is attempting to protect. You follow what he's saying? That's his line of argument. But let us look at some scenarios now. Let us say there's a cleaning lady. And, she goes in and she cleans when everybody gone home. And while she's vacuuming the carpet, something caught up in the vacuum cleaner stuck. She opened it up, took it out. It's a piece of paper. She don't know what's on it because it's all crushed up. She don't know if it was waste paper or what. So she opened the paper, and when she looked, she said Andrew Holness' name or some parliamentarian name, and read it. So she now is privy now to what is a confidential confidential information that is contained in that piece of paper. It is talking about, for argument's sake, some account that they are investigating. And that's what that cleaning lady got her hands on and read it. Okay? So let me go further in telling you about this hypothetical cleaning lady, just to test this act and whether or not Panton is correct or the others are correct. Okay? Let's say, for argument's sake, this cleaning lady is not employed to the commission. She is in fact employed to a company that is contracted by the commission to clean the offices, X amount of time per day, right? For the week, as most offices do. They hire people to do that. They don't hire staff. So, what now is the scenario? She has a dynamite piece of information that could get her money, get her notoriety. She want to call Emily Shields or she want to call Cliff Hughes or somebody and tell them. But she has to consider, hold on, Can I really tell anybody about what I just saw? What about going home and even pinch my husband and tell him? Him not going to talk and tell anybody. Can I tell him? That's it. That's what she would have to consider. Well, what does the Act say? it says all matters under investigation, right, by the Director of Investigation or any other person involved in such investigation shall be kept confidential, right? So the matters should be kept confidential. By who? By the Director of Investigation or any other person involved in the investigation. She's a cleaning lady. She's not involved in the investigation, right? She's not a officer or a staff member in the Director of Investigation office in that division, right? So this part of the act certainly does not apply to her. Not this part that I'm reading, right? She's not a part of the team that is investigating. And this is what this part covers. All matters under investigation by the Director of Investigation or any other person involved in the investigation shall keep the information confidential. She is under no such obligation because it does not apply to her. Because she's not involved in the investigation, right? And she's not working with the DI in his office. So she can't talk, at least up to this point. Let us now continue to see if any other part of this subsection covers her and tells her she can't reveal the information to anybody. So let us continue reading. No. And no report, this sound like machine now. No report or public statement shall be made by the commission. By the commission, right? So, of course, she's not working for the commission. She's not an employee of the commission. She's contracted to somebody else to do a job in the commission. So this part certainly don't apply to her either. But let us continue. Or any other person in relation to the initiation or conduct of an investigation. So let us look now and see if this covers her. Any other person, she's certainly any other person, meaning any other person, not the commission, not involved in the investigation, and not the Director of Investigation. This is what this seems to suggest. Now, this now may cover her, but let us continue to read. In relation to the initiation, now, the piece of paper is talking about an investigation they're doing into, let us say, Andrew Holness's account, one of his accounts at a commercial bank or so. She would know now from that he's under investigation for something. But the question is, if she were to repeat what she saw in that letter, would she be in violation of this subsection? What she would have made available to the public is information that there has been an investigation initiated into Andrew Holness's affairs. You follow? So she might be reading out what is in the report, but to the hearers, for example, if she went on radio and read it, the hearers would realize that, hold on, the commissioner investigate Andrew. So they would now come into contact with information about the initiation of an investigation into his affairs. They would know for what reason, though, right? Now, when it comes to the conduct of an investigation, it's only persons who are involved in it could give you a lowdown as to the conduct of what is going on in it, at the various stages. So this act, if they are to say it only concerns persons who are involved in investigations, the members of staff of the commission, commissioners, and the other persons who work in there, typists and so on, and investigators, as well as the persons who were contacted and asked to provide information, like the financial institutions and the government agencies and so on. If this any other persons was relating to them alone, then the office worker would be free to go and repeat it to anybody. She won't be able to go on the air, maybe, because they won't entertain her. They don't want to get into trouble. But she could have go tell anybody, because the act would not cover her. So it is, in my view, my opinion in reading it, the act must have been intended to cover any other person who may come in contact with the information by whatever means or by whatever circumstance, because all sorts of things can happen and people come in contact with information. Now, what about the person now who is being investigated? Now, Philip Powell said that it was the intention. You see, he's now on the PMP side, so he wants to make a point that would support the motion that Mark Golding and the stance that Mark Golding has, because I don't believe it is the party stance. I think it's Mark Golding and Peter Bunting and Dayton Campbell and Ian Hayes when I got to the little meeting and come up with this strategy. And I suspect we will soon see the reason why they're taking this stance. That because Andrew Holness did not tell the public that he was under investigation for illicit enrichment, he should resign. Right? Because he didn't tell them. Not that he's guilty of illicit enrichment, but he never come tell us that he's under investigation, and they want to make out that something was wrong with that. No. So Paul Will is basically trying to protect that argument, while the Labour Party is trying to get from the commission the idea that nobody is supposed to speak, including the persons being investigated. You see what was happening? So Paul Well was saying that it was never the intention of parliamentarians when they passed the law that the person who is being investigated cannot come out and say that they are being investigated. Now, he can say so, but I expect and hope that at some future date he will come to the committee and show the committee in Hansard where they were debating the act, because you can't just say that was not your intention. It has to be debated, and somebody must have stated. But this sound like anybody. What do you mean by that? Oh, no, not the person. The person who is being investigated, they can talk. They can say anything they want. It's their business. It's their confidentiality that is being protected. And if they want to waive that right to confidentiality, that's their affair. He needs to come and show us that debate and that statement that was made, because I am suspecting that even though it may be the intention, it may have been in their minds and not never came from their mouth. Why? Because if it did, they would have amended this section and said any other person except the person being investigated. There is no exception here. Listen to what it said. And no report or public statement shall be made by the commission or any other person in relation to the initiation or conduct of an investigation. There is no exception. It never said except, save and except the person who is being investigated. So when the parliamentarians passed this act, contrary to what Comrade Powell was saying, I disagree with him that they had no such intention. The intention was that nobody enough to talk. And they must have had a reason why they didn't want anybody to say anything at all about the investigation until it is tabled in Parliament, including the person who is being investigated. But what could that reason be? I invite you, my subscribers and my viewers, I invite you to consider something here. Yes, it did speak about the confidentiality, but is the confidentiality only with respect to protecting the privacy or the rights of the person being investigated? I mean, if that was the case, why is it that police are able to call people name, arrest them, put reports into the paper, or cause reports to be put out in the media about persons being arrested and charged? Why it is that politicians believe that they and other government people should have more rights than anybody else? Is that the reason why the act was worded this way? Yes, it's possible that all of you believe that you have more rights, or you should have more rights, or entitled to more protection than you're willing to give to other people. However, I want you to look at subsection 3, where it speaks to the conduct of an investigation. And let us read that little section again, except this time we're only going to add in the relevant part. And no report or public statement shall be made by the Commission or any other person in relation to the conduct of an investigation under this Act. The conduct of an investigation. They want that also to be a secret. Why? Because, look, you can talk about an investigation that is being carried out by the Commission and don't mention no name. And the person's confidentiality would have been protected. So clearly, when it speaks about the conduct of the investigation, it's not speaking about the person. It must be speaking about the integrity of the investigation itself and the need and desire, right, to protect the integrity of the investigation by not having public discourse about the investigation being carried out. But that may not be the only reason. Maybe by preventing the person who is being investigated from speaking about it to anybody else, you are also preventing the person from engaging into further legal activities, for argument's sake, conspiring with others to humbug up the investigations. So it becomes necessary to stop everybody from speaking about it, to be on the safe side. And that's just my 2 pence worth. If they are correct, a politician will be able to come out and say, I'm being investigated for illicit enrichment or investigated for any other thing, and then get them people in them community go out there, go demonstrate and all those kind of things. Or even worse, at least now, with everybody restricted from saying anything, the incentive is for them to cooperate, keep quiet, and hope that they are able to resolve the issue behind the scenes. And if they are successful, then not a soul need know that they were being investigated. Well, that's it for me today. Thank you so much for joining me. Leave your comments in the comment section. Let me know who it is that you think may be right on the matter. Is it Justice Panton, or is it Kevon Stevenson? I mean, there's a contradiction there, so they need to clarify that. Or is it Pernell Charles Jr.? Well, he's saying the same as Kevon Stevenson. Anyway, folks, you take good care of yourselves and walk good.